All right, let's jump right in. If you've been following the world of finance, you know the last decade has been all about one thing: disruption. But what if I told you that era is officially over? We're heading into a brand new phase, a more grown-up one, especially in the Asia-Pacific region. This quote right here really nails our core theme today. It highlights this huge shift happening. The APAC region isn't just playing catch-up anymore. It's not just copying what works somewhere else. It's creating its own playbook, and that tells you everything you need to know about its growing maturity. So, this brings us to our first big idea. The industry is growing up. We are absolutely moving away from that phase of chaotic, move fast and break things energy. Now it's about a more stable, more thoughtful evolution. It's less about just tearing down the old and more about building something new that's actually meant to last. Now, check out the story these numbers are telling. We're seeing the annual growth rate in Southeast Asia shift from a blistering 31.4% down to a still incredibly strong 22.9%. But look, this is not a sign of weakness, not at all. It's the classic sign of a market that's stabilizing, that's building a really solid foundation for what comes next. So what does this all mean on the ground? Well, it means the mission itself has changed. The Wild West days of fintech are pretty much behind us. The new way to measure success isn't just how fast you can grow, it's about creating a real, positive impact at a massive scale. And, this is the big one, earning and keeping people's trust. Okay, for our next section, let's look at how the actual relationship between old finance and new finance is being completely rewritten. You know those battle lines that once seemed so clear? Yeah, they're getting really, really blurry. And this quote just perfectly captures the new mindset. That old story of the tiny fintech startup trying to slay the giant legacy bank, it's totally outdated. Today, it is all about making smart alliances because, well, both sides finally figured out they're just stronger together. This new vibe actually has a name: co-opetition. It sounds a bit weird, but it's this perfect blend of cooperation and competition that's fueling the whole financial ecosystem. They're still rivals for your business, for sure, but they're also working together to build better systems that benefit everyone. So, how does this actually work in practice? Well, it's a really powerful three-step dance. First, banks are building these massive, complex platforms. Then, fintechs can just plug right in, instantly getting access to millions of customers. The result? It's a total win-win. A deeply connected financial world that's just way more innovative and efficient for all of us. And this gets right to the heart of it. The whole challenge has shifted. It's not about can we build some new piece of tech anymore. The really tough questions everyone's asking now are, what should we build? Who are we building it for? And maybe the most important question of all, why are we doing it? And that big question of why leads us to this really profound shift in the whole industry's mindset. We're seeing a real move towards a more purpose-driven kind of finance, one that's looking way beyond just the next profit report. It's a fair question, right? With all this talk about new strategies and fancy ecosystems, is this all just a more complex way to make a buck? Or is there something more going on here? Well, the answer from the industry itself is a huge no. Get this, over 90% of financial firms in the region now see social good not as some charity side project, but as a core part of their business strategy. Basically, doing good is now just good business. And the scale of this opportunity is it's mind-boggling. There are still 2.1 billion adults around the world who have little to no access to basic financial services. This isn't just some untapped market, it's a chance to give people the tools to save, to invest, and to build a genuinely better future for themselves and their families. So what this means is that success isn't just about opening a bank account for someone anymore. The real goal now is to close that digital literacy gap, to give people the skills and the confidence they need to actually use these powerful new tools in their daily lives. All right, let's bring this home with our final point, which really gets at the central tension of this whole new era. It's this incredibly delicate tightrope walk between pushing technology forward and making sure the entire system is safe and worthy of our trust. On one side of that tightrope, you've got this insane acceleration of technology. AI is not a science experiment anymore. It is being woven directly into the core of how banks and fintechs operate, and it's changing everything. And on the other side, you have the thing that holds it all together: trust. As everything goes digital, you absolutely have to have a much tighter grip on data privacy, on cybersecurity, on governance. Protecting users isn't just an IT problem, it's a top priority. This whole balancing act is creating a much trickier regulatory world to navigate. We're seeing tougher know your customer checks, stuff like having to take a selfie to open an account. We're also seeing rules that say data has to be stored in the country it came from, and more limits on how data can flow across borders. And as this expert says, this isn't some problem for the future. It is happening right now. For any company that works globally, figuring out how to navigate these new digital borders is one of the single biggest challenges they face. It's changing the very way they do business. So, to wrap this all up, the future of finance in the APAC region has really grown up. It's not a simple fight between the disruptors and the old guard anymore. The new winning formula is this complex mix of three things: real collaboration, a clear sense of purpose, and an unbreakable foundation of trust. And that leaves us with one last thought for you. As finance gets more personal, more automated, and almost invisible in our day-to-day lives, the most important choice you'll have to make won't be about the best features or the lowest fees. It's going to be about a much simpler, much more human question. Who will you trust?